When Cherry Blossoms Whisper. Volume 1, The First Petal. Chapter 6, Rin's Challenge. It was a typical afternoon in the school's literature club and the room buzzed with the usual chatter. Haruto sat in the corner, sketchbook in hand, trying to drown out the noise of his fellow students. His eyes wandered to Sakura, who was sitting at the table, her gaze fixed on a notebook. Her pen scratched the surface of the paper, but there was something tense about her posture. Her usual calm was replaced with the faintest tremble of concentration. Across from Sakura, Rin Fujimoto, the sharp-tongued club member with a reputation for excellence in poetry, observed her with a critical eye. Rin was the kind of person who valued perfection above all else and held herself and others up to that high standard. Today, though, her gaze lingered a little longer than usual on Sakura and her lips curled into an almost mischievous smile. "You're really going to read that?" Rin asked, her tone almost too casual. Sakura didn't flinch but raised her head to meet Rin's sharp eyes. "I don't see why not," she replied coolly, her voice steady. Haruto watched the interaction quietly, unsure of what had triggered Rin's sudden challenge. It wasn't like her to provoke Sakura, and the atmosphere in the room felt thicker than usual. He knew Rin had always been a bit competitive, especially when it came to poetry, but this felt different. There was a glint in her eyes, something deeper than just friendly rivalry. "How about a challenge, then?" Rin's words cut through the air like a blade. "Why don't you show us what you've got, Sakura? I bet you can't beat my latest piece. It's something really special." Sakura's hand stilled on the paper, and Haruto could sense the subtle tension building between them. "I'm not interested in competing with you," she said flatly, but there was a quiet challenge in her voice nonetheless. "My poems are my own. I don't need to compare them to anyone else's." Rin's smirk deepened, but there was no malice in her eyes, only the challenge of someone eager to prove their worth. "Oh, come on. Don't tell me you're afraid of a little competition," she teased, folding her arms across her chest. "We're all here to improve, aren't we?" Haruto could feel the shift in the room, as if everyone was waiting for Sakura to react. He wasn't sure what it was about Rin's taunts, but they had clearly struck a nerve. He saw the muscles in Sakura's shoulders tense, a flicker of vulnerability passing across her face before she quickly masked it with her usual stoic expression. "Fine," Sakura said, her voice lowering slightly. "But don't complain when you can't keep up." Rin raised an eyebrow, clearly amused by the challenge. "I look forward to it." The members of the club fell silent as Sakura rose from her chair and walked over to the board at the front of the room. She hesitated for a moment before writing her poem in neat, flowing characters. The room was still, everyone watching her carefully. When she finished, she stepped back and folded her arms as though daring anyone to challenge her words. Haruto looked at the poem, his heart tightening as he read the haunting verses. "In the quiet dusk I see shadows bend. A whispering breeze, the light at its end. Of cherry blossoms fading too soon. A lost dream beneath the pale moon." He had seen the same pain and longing in her eyes, the same emptiness reflected in the lines she so effortlessly penned. He didn't know what had inspired this particular poem, but he knew it came from somewhere deep within her, somewhere raw. Rin, for all her pride, didn't seem so sure anymore. She studied the poem silently, her expression shifting. Haruto knew Rin could be proud, but even she couldn't deny the beauty and depth of what Sakura had just written. "I see," Rin muttered under her breath, her voice tinged with something softer. "It's different. But..." The room held its breath as Rin cleared her throat. She placed her own poem on the table, handing it to the club president to read aloud. The poem was vivid, brimming with technical skill, but it lacked the rawness that had been present in Sakura's work. It was a carefully crafted piece, well-structured, but something about it felt distant. As the club president read it aloud, Haruto couldn't help but compare it to Sakura's. There was no depth, no real emotion behind Rin's words, just an attempt to outdo someone else. When the president finished reading, there was an awkward silence before Rin spoke again, her voice quieter now. "Maybe. I've been too quick to judge," she said, her usual confidence faltering for a moment. Haruto could feel the weight of the words she hadn't said. The competition had ended not with victory but with a realization. Rin had always prided herself on being the best, but what she hadn't accounted for was the honesty in Sakura's poetry, the emotion that rang through it, unrefined but powerful. Sakura didn't speak. She simply looked away, her expression unreadable, but Haruto could sense that this was a small victory for her. Not because she had won the challenge, but because for the first time someone had seen her work for what it truly was. Thanks for watching our video. If you find this video interesting, then please subscribe our YouTube channel. If you're watching this video from TikTok, Facebook, or Instagram, then follow our page for more contents like this.